Master any skill in half the time proven strategies. What if I told you there's a method so powerful, it could cut your learning time in half, making you more efficient, and help you master any skill, whether it's playing an instrument, coding, or even learning a new language? It's not magic, it's not a gimmick, it's science-backed, and used by some of the most successful people in the world, across various fields. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll have a roadmap to learn faster, smarter, and more efficiently than you ever thought possible, guaranteed. Before we jump into the tactics and tricks, let's take a look under the hood, yeah? I'm talking about understanding the science behind how we learn. When you're trying to master something new, whether it's salsa dancing or speaking Mandarin, your brain is busy building neural pathways. Think of these pathways like trails in a forest. The more you walk a particular trail, the clearer and more defined it becomes. The same goes for your brain. The more you practice a skill, the stronger those neural connections get, making it easier to perform that skill. But here's the catch. If you're practicing inefficiently, you're not strengthening the right pathways. You're basically wandering aimlessly through the forest instead of forging a direct path to your destination. But here's where it gets really interesting. When you practice correctly, and we're going to get into exactly what that means, you can actually accelerate this process dramatically. That's where techniques like deliberate practice, spaced repetition, and visualization come in. These aren't just buzzwords, folks. They're powerful tools backed by research and used by top performers in every field. Now, I always like to put a face to a concept, to show you that this stuff isn't just theoretical, it's actually achievable by real people. Real people with real lives, responsibilities, and challenges, just like you and me. And for this, I want to introduce you to Josh Kaufman. Josh is not just a name. He's a living example of how you can transform your life by dedicating a small, focused amount of time to learning something new. Josh was a regular guy, juggling a full-time job and family life just like many of you. He had the same 24 hours in a day, the same responsibilities, and the same feeling of being overwhelmed by the demands of modern life. He felt the time crunch, that nagging feeling that there just weren't enough hours in the day to learn something new. The idea of picking up a new skill seemed almost impossible. But Josh, he's a curious guy and he decided to challenge this belief that mastering a skill takes thousands of hours. He questioned the conventional wisdom and decided to put it to the test. He set out on a mission to learn a bunch of different skills, coding, playing the ukulele, even yoga, all within a compressed time frame. He wanted to see if he could achieve basic proficiency in these areas without dedicating his entire life to them. And what he discovered shocked him. It wasn't just possible, it was surprisingly achievable. By focusing intensely for just 20 hours, he was able to achieve basic proficiency in each of these areas. 20 hours of dedicated, focused practice was all it took. Now, I know what you're thinking. 20 hours? That's it? It sounds almost too good to be true, right? Well, here's the key. Josh didn't just noodle around for 20 hours. He had a method, a structured, deliberate approach to learning that made all the difference. His secret? He broke down each skill into its essential components and practiced them deliberately. He focused on the most important aspects first, ensuring that his practice was as efficient as possible. For example, when learning the ukulele, he didn't start by trying to play complex songs. He knew that would be overwhelming and counterproductive. He went straight to the heart of it. He identified the core elements that would give him the most bang for his buck. He focused on the 4 most common chords, which as it turns out are used in the majority of popular songs. By mastering these, he could play a wide variety of music. Once he mastered these, he could play dozens of tunes with ease. It was a game changer for him. This is about working smarter, not harder. It's about finding the most effective way to learn and applying it consistently. And the best part? Josh's story isn't unique. Many others have followed his method and achieved similar results. His method aligns with how the brain works, and it's something anyone can replicate. So, if you've ever felt like you don't have the time to learn something new, think again. With the right approach, you can achieve more than you ever thought possible. Chapter 3, Strategy 1. Break down the skill into micro skills. Alright, let's get tactical. The first strategy, and I cannot emphasize this enough, is to break down the skill into micro skills. This is where most people trip up. They look at this massive, intimidating skill they want to learn and just freeze. It's like trying to eat an elephant in one bite. Impossible, right? The sheer size of the task can be paralyzing. Instead of getting overwhelmed, you need to deconstruct. Think of it as taking apart a complex machine. Break that skill down into smaller, more manageable parts. Each part should be a micro skill that you can focus on individually. Think bite-sized chunks that your brain can actually digest. This makes the learning process much more approachable. For instance, let's say you're learning a new language. The idea of becoming fluent can be daunting. Don't even think about memorizing an entire vocabulary list. That's overwhelming and inefficient. That's a recipe for disaster. You'll likely end up frustrated and demotivated. Start with the most commonly used words and phrases, the ones that allow you to form basic sentences. This gives you a functional foundation. If you're learning to code, focus on solving small problems, getting those little wins under your belt before moving on to larger projects. Each small success builds your confidence. Remember, you're building a foundation brick by brick. Each micro skill is a brick in your overall skill set. And here's a pro tip. The key is to identify the 20% of tasks that will give you 80% of the results, a concept known as the Pareto principle. Focus on these high-impact tasks. This principle is pure gold when it comes to learning efficiently. By concentrating on the most impactful micro skills, you maximize your progress and minimize wasted effort. Chapter 4. Strategy 2, use deliberate practice. Now let's talk about practice. Not just any practice, but the kind that truly makes a difference. Because just going through the motions isn't going to cut it. You need to push beyond your comfort zone. You need to practice with intention. This means every session should have a clear purpose. I'm talking about deliberate practice. It's a method that requires focus and dedication. This means focusing laser-like on the aspects of a skill that are just beyond your current ability. It's about identifying your weaknesses and working on them. It's about pushing those boundaries, stepping outside your comfort zone, and embracing the struggle. Think about Serena Williams. She didn't become a tennis legend by simply hitting balls randomly. Her practice was structured and goal-oriented. Her training was intentional, targeted, deliberate. Every aspect of her practice was designed to improve specific skills. Every swing, every drill had a purpose. This is the essence of deliberate practice. It's the same for you. Whether you're an athlete, a musician, or a student, deliberate practice can elevate your performance. When you practice deliberately, you're challenging your brain to adapt and grow. This kind of practice is mentally demanding but incredibly rewarding. You're essentially forcing those neural pathways to fire, creating new connections and strengthening existing ones. This is how you build expertise. So how do you actually do it? How do you incorporate deliberate practice into your routine? It's simpler than you think. It starts with a plan. First, set clear goals for each practice session. Don't just wing it. Know exactly what you want to achieve. Know what you want to achieve before you even start. This will give your practice direction and purpose. Second, focus on quality, not quantity. It's better to practice for 30 minutes with intense focus than to mindlessly go through the motions for 2 hours. And finally, seek feedback. This is crucial for improvement. This could be from a coach, a mentor, or even just recording yourself and analyzing your performance. Feedback helps you identify areas for improvement. The key is to identify areas where you can improve and then adjust your approach accordingly. This cycle of practice, feedback, and adjustment is what leads to mastery. Chapter 5. Strategy 3. The power of spaced repetition. Let's talk about memory. We've all been there, cramming for an exam the night before, only to forget everything the moment we walk out of the test room. Cramming might work for a short-term memory boost, but it's terrible for long-term retention. If you want to truly master a skill, you need to embed it in your long-term memory. And that's where spaced repetition comes in. Spaced repetition is a learning technique that involves reviewing information at increasing intervals. It's like planting a seed and then watering it strategically to help it grow strong roots. Now there are some great apps out there like Anki and Quizlet that can help you with spaced repetition. But you can also apply the concept manually. For example, if you're learning guitar chords, practice one set today, revisit them in 2 days, and then again in a week. The spacing allows your brain to consolidate the information, making it stickier and more resistant to forgetting. Think of it like this. Each time you revisit the information, you're reminding your brain that it's important, that it needs to hold on to it. And over time, those memories become ingrained. Outrow. Unlock your potential. Now that you know the secrets to mastering any skill in half the time, it's time to take action. Pick one skill you've always wanted to learn. Break it down into micro skills, practice deliberately, and use spaced repetition. Visualize your success, seek feedback, and stay consistent. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Start today, and you might surprise yourself with how far you can go. As Josh Kaufman, Tim Ferriss, and countless others have shown, mastering a skill doesn't require superhuman talent, just the right strategies and a commitment to the process. Your future self will thank you. Let's get started. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who needs this inspiration. It really encourages and motivates us to keep creating valuable content for you. Don't forget to check out our next video for even more insights and strategies. See you there, bye!